welcome to the latest episode of the Never Gets Old podcast. I'm your host, Mac Jackson, and I'm joined in the fan cave with my buddy Scott Tipton. There he is.
Greetings.
And I have a new provider. I'm trying Riverside. So if there's some odd sounds or glitches or something, I'm just trying to figure stuff out. But before we begin, Scott, I have for you some recent purchases that I wanted to share that I couldn't just tell you about. Here's one. This is a big one. My Knight Rider.
Nice.
Yeah. And I'll show you with some great things. It looks just like Knight Rider, but on the hood, if I hit this button,
Perfect.
can you hear it?
Yes.
And wait, there's a couple others.
Hold on, this could be a bit bumpy.
Ah.
Do the thing. Do it one more time. What? He does the introduction too. Hang on. If I could get it.
Are you sure this is the right way?
Okay. They got more than I thought because there's the one where he says, I'm Knight Rider, I'm Knight Industries 2000 or Kit if you prefer. Like
Pretty hip.
Yeah, that's good. So, and what's great is they give you on his wrist the thing that Michael, the watch, right? So, yeah, it actually comes off if you want it to. But I transformed this guy, and what's great is nowadays our Transformers are better than they were when we were kids.
Oh, yeah.
Because once you transform them, the robots, maybe they could do this.
Yeah.
But they couldn't put their arms out or bend their legs. This can do everything.
The engineering has posability down in ways they really didn't.
Right?
Thank you, sir.
So, yeah, I don't know how many little things there are, but there are a lot. The bad news is that if you want to transform it, take an afternoon off because it's going to be a while. I figured like when you're a kid, you go, I don't need to look at the instructions. I'll figure it out. And, it was just a couple twists and turns. Now, oh no, you got to turn it at a particular angle just to move it forward, to drop down, and then twist it back. The payoff is that you got a great robot. The bad news is it's going to take you forever. And a couple times the leg popped off or the arm popped off. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, this cost me $50 because, it was 30. And then because I didn't get it right away because I was unemployed, I didn't want to spend the money. Well, now my first congratulatory purchase was that bad boy and the price had jumped up.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even
object.
I didn't even press him. I'm signing off. All right, sign off. So yeah, the price went up, and when the arm popped off, I went, "Oh God, I broke it!" And then I look, and I'm like, "Oh no, they now make them where it will give, and it can pop off. Thank God." Oh, the warm feeling inside me when that happened. I'm like, "Oh God!" And then one of the other things I got was,
Oh, very nice.
yeah. I was going to get the movie version, but my son already has the Civil War Cap and Iron Man, where they're all filthy and beat up.
Yeah.
And I thought, all right, I don't want to just rebuy the Cap. I was going to try and get that anniversary one with the bullets that are reflecting off
that
the
was
shield.
pretty hip.
But this bad boy was $15 on Amazon.
Yeah, I love the energy shield.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? That was the Mark Waid great run that I bought digitally now. That right when I was trying Captain America, I remember that shift where the art got really good. And of course, the story was, everybody was talking about it. And they broke his shield, which I know is a trope that they tend to do every 20 years or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then he got the energy shield. So when I saw this, I'm like, all right, not only do I like it, it's $15, but it's a variation on the shield.
Yeah.
And what's great is if I can get this to turn, I mean, for all I know, this is one that you already have. I don't know. But
Yeah, good stuff.
I love that you can have it on his back. And I love the straps. That was one of the things that the movie did so well was they explained he's not taking the time to put his arms through a strap. It's
Yeah,
magnetized. He
and
goes like that, wham!
and Evans would just do it so smooth, it would just be clink, and you just sold it that way. Yeah,
Right? And the same thing with putting it on his arm. He didn't have to like loop it through the holders. Because I always thought, again, as you're reading these books, I'm like, okay, that takes at least a couple seconds to reach your hand through that. And if it's coming back at you, you're not catching it like this and having the loops go because it's spinning. So the whole idea of it being magnetized, I'm like, there you go. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, that goes all the way back to Lee and Kirby. They actually show a bit where once they thaw out Cap and he's hanging out with the Avengers, that Stark hooks him up with magnets on the shield, and there's like
little circles, as I recall,
like wavy lines that go over the thing, and then eventually, about within a year, they explained that he took it out because they interfered with the shield's delicate balance when throwing. So then they never mentioned it again.
Well, I'm glad that they have now because it just on a practical side, you go, all right, I'll accept the fact that he's a super soldier, but there's no way he's catching a spinning shield by having it loop back into his arm and just let's get the plot going and have him do that.
It was Winter Soldier that was the first time that they really sold the idea of how Cap's shield could work as a throwing weapon with the ricochets and him managing to catch it, and just they really captured it on camera perfectly. The opening fight scene on the ship is just great,
right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm telling you, those movies. I know we're preaching to the choir when we say this, but those movies really are so rewatchable. You never go, oh yeah, all right, I've seen it enough times. The only problem I have with investing the time to say watch Infinity War or Endgame is, man, I don't know if I'm up for the emotion behind that.
I know.
You know what I mean? Because there's so much going on, and it's been on every weekend, and it was on yesterday, and I'm flipping around, and I was in here trying to set up for this, and I left it on, and at one point I went, all right, I gotta shut it off because it's emotionally draining. 2, if I start watching it, I can't do anything else.
Yeah.
And 3, I'll get annoyed at the fact that, when we've said this before, they used up great characters before we really got into, like, I know we had movies with them, but it didn't feel like they should go away like Cap and Iron Man.
Yeah.
I
understand it because on the one hand, every time you're just trying to make the best movie you can. So if something is going to get you the best impact, that temptation is there to do it. But you don't want to give away so much so soon. But then you realize, well, so soon, that was like over 10 years of films. So, I mean, it's you always want more.
And that's the thing. I mean, it really comes down to this. And I think this is the problem that the studio went, oh, we're kind of stuck now. You need the pillars of Tony and Cap. You need them because, one, they're two different sides of the same coin, but also they're such pillars like Cap. Mm-hmm. I have no problem with what's his name, Falcon being Cap. I don't have a problem with the character. I have a problem with the fact that it's not Steve Rogers. Like, Steve Rogers has a gravitas to him that he's not. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I hear you. I think it's easier to replace Cap than it is Iron Man.
Sure.
But between Sam Wilson or Bucky Barnes, you've got people who have a connection to Cap, so them being in that role feels right. And then you can tell your own story about trying to live up to Cap's Cap's legend. Mm-hmm. But for Iron Man, there really isn't. I mean, Iron Man is a much bigger void to fill.
Yeah, because of the technology and
technology, and just he was such the linchpin of these of this continuity, more so than he ever was in the comics. I mean, Iron
right.
Man was always kind of, I wouldn't say he was second string, but when you thought like who are the important people in the Marvel universe for years, it was like X-Men, it was Cap, it was Spider-Man, and Reed Richards. And the Iron Man, okay, I mean, but Iron Man wasn't a character that people thought of as like an A-list player until.
No. Well, I mean that Mikey and I always had that conversation about how even though I've always been a comic book person, I never cared about. I like the idea of Cap. I like. I never cared for Thor. I never cared for Iron Man until these movies when they did that whole breakdown to what their essence is, and also how great the actors were being them. Like they were perfectly
Yeah,
cast.
yeah,
They really made me go. Like I was thinking about this morning. Iron Man, when they have him fly, he's not, I know what I'm doing and everything's smooth. It's, I got to balance as
yes,
I'm landing, not just the jet boots, but with my hands. That makes him human. And that gives you more that you go, I want more of that. I want to see more of that character because little minutia like that is great. He's not perfect, even though he thinks he is. He
yeah.
has to balance and kind of that. I
Well,
love.
that's another thing that I think doesn't get enough credit for the Marvel films is how grounded the world is, and it's grounded in a character sense. There's that great moment in the second Thor film where Thor is showing up at the scientist buddy's place, and he hangs up his hammer in the coat rack. It's just a small human moment. Oh, this is what the humans do. All right,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah, and he's not an easy one. I mean, we talk about certain characters that are hard to write in the comics. Thor is
yeah.
one of them. Aquaman, Hulk. Used to be the Flash, but not anymore. They're not easy. And when you find a writer like Mark Waid who comes in and keeps it fun and keeps it fresh and keeps it uh, um, focused on what matters, you don't want them to leave.
Yeah.
And right, and we can feel that moment when it changes writers, and you went a new way, didn't you? You're trying to make your own. I'm doing something different. Well, that's not necessarily good.
Yeah.
Now you've watered down a very hard to write character.
I mean,
You know,
that I think was the biggest thing for them to figure out with Marvel was how to make Thor work. Because everything else is kind of in the same world. And then all of a sudden, you've got this very different magic, mythology based fantasy character that has to rub elbows with your soldier and with your tech guy. And if that Thor film hadn't worked, the whole thing would have been very wobbly.
yeah. Oh, and I think the real trick is how do you make him a character that you can listen to?
Yeah.
Because I don't read the Thor comics because I can't get past the jargon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It'd have to be a well-established, well-praised Thor book for me to go, all right, I'm buying a Thor book now.
Well,
Like when,
Simonson did that well. Simonson, he sounded Shakespearean, but he didn't overdo the "thou hast" and the and thou and this and that. It sounds a little bit arcane here and there. It's got the Shakespearean vibe to it, but he doesn't sound fake.
right. And the other thing was like I remember in the late 80s, early 90s when I was officially reading comic books, I was trying Thor when it was Thunderstrike,
Oh yeah,
right? And a couple of those Thor issues where he's fighting with the New Warriors, and it was like their introduction. So I happened to buy that. I have the introduction of the New Warriors, and also like he was fighting the Wrecking Crew, and it felt epic. It felt like, all right, I don't normally read this, but I think I should pick this book up now.
yeah.
And I remember enjoying it. I remember thinking, okay, all right, how does it, he spins the hammer and then throws himself? Okay, I think I get, all right, I get that. But overall, like occasionally I'll look at a Thor book and go, I'll wait until people tell me it's something I should get.
Yeah.
Because and in the they did it brilliantly in the movies. I mean, even from the first movie, he's a fish out of water.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
And the key there is, who do you hire to make this sound Shakespearean or still relatable? Well, you get Kenneth Branagh.
Right.
You know, and Branagh kind of cracked the code of how to make a Thor movie.
Right. Let me think. Think. What else? Oh, so you saw the new Cap movie?
Yes.
And?
It's great.
Right.
Yeah.
That is the right answer.
Yeah. It's.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what people would expect from it that they didn't get.
Right. Because you know what? We got more. We got. People are saying it was secretly a sequel to The Incredible Hulk.
Which is fine by me. I love that movie.
Great, because those were loose threads that needed to be brought around again. You know, you wanted to see the leader. Oh, by the way, spoilers if people haven't seen a movie that's been out for months.
Yeah.
You know, we got to finally see the leader. I always thought that poor guy, like, he signed up for that, and then they just left him. I'm like, there's a villain to use.
Yeah. And I mean, and that actor is so good. Why, of course you want him back.
Right? Oh, I loved it. We loved it. I mean, luckily, you know, we go as a family. We go to our superhero movies together. That's our, okay, so we're going to go see this, typically, unless it's like a Venom movie or a Craven, which we haven't seen yet.
Yeah. No,
no
loss there.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't believe Craven came and went. I'm like, wait, is that gone already? I didn't even know that hit the theater.
Yeah.
Because I think Sony kind of went, I don't know, do we really want to spend money on we know it's not going to do well, you know. So they just kind of went, it's out, it's gone, move on.
I mean, after Madam Web, they had to realize they were toast.
And you know what? I'll tell you this. I did see Madam Web because I'll wait until it's streaming. Like right now, Craven and Venom 3, I think, are on Netflix. So my son and I, at least, are going to sit down and watch them. But when I saw like Morbius and Madam Web, they weren't as bad as what people made them out to be. You know, when you read some of the people on social media, they're like, oh, it's so blah, blah. And the specifics that they were talking about, I'm like, no, it didn't need to be made. I didn't ask for this. I don't care enough. Again, you don't need to make a movie about the villain. The villain is there to service the heroes, you know, hero-ness. Yeah. But when I saw it, I went, all right, it wasn't as I was expecting garbage. And
well, Madam Web was pretty incompetent. Madam Web was massively incompetent.
But again, compared to what I heard it was going to be, I was like, oh, yeah, kind of all over the place, but not as bad as what people said, like in the specific stuff. I went, the story I get, I can at least follow what's happening. When it was over, I went, wow, they got rid of Batgirl and the Acme movie, but this hit theaters.
Speaking of which, I'm so happy that got rescued.
The Acme one?
Yes.
I just saw that. I'm like, all right, good for whoever it was that did that. I mean,
it's all of the reviews and all the buzz have been that movie was really funny and really well made. And it was just such a craven mercenary decision.
Whoever made that call.
Yeah.
I think if a movie, even if it's garbage, okay, I think it should at least be released somewhere. It doesn't have to be in the theater.
Yeah.
They did a Highlander movie that was supposed to be like a 3-part, holy crap, we're going to find out where the Immortals come from. And kind of the same thing that happened with Highlander 2. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but something with the country that they were filming in somehow got the rights while they were making this movie and changed stuff while it was being made. So the original vision of, say, Highlander 2 and Highlander, whatever the last one was, because Endgame was perfect. Endgame was Duncan and Connor together. But the next one that was supposed to be the beginning of a trilogy became one movie that made no sense and never hit the theater. It was supposed to be big. It was supposed to be, a payoff. And instead, and I kid you not, it was on Sci-Fi. It made its premiere on Sci-Fi at 3 o'clock on a Saturday morning.
Ooh.
And I knew this because I was waiting for it. And I was looking for it. And when we didn't hear anything for a while, I thought, uh-oh, something happened again. And when I saw it, I went, oh. So this one doesn't count. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could tell certain movies in a line, in a franchise, you go, nope. Like Highlander 2 where they're in the future, nope.
Yeah.
And this last one, nope. But like the others, you're like, yeah, they go with the TV series. That all works.
Or like every Alien movie after the first two.
Which I still have to see. I saw the third one in the theaters and went, oh, okay. This lost a step. I don't know what they were doing. And then they come out with what I always love is the versus movies. So
AVP, it's AVP's. It's like it's Frankenstein versus the Wolfman.
It's great, and I love it. Except it all takes place in that freaking pyramid in the Arctic.
Yeah,
and you're just watching people get killed, and you're like, all right, whatever, that's fine. I'll accept it. But then they came out with the other one, which I liked even more, even though people said it was crap, where they're in a neighborhood and they're just killing like. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for Shakespeare. Just give me the fun of, kaijus fighting each other, essentially, like you said. Like if you could get a great story in there with a great twist, bravo.
Yeah.
But show me these characters interacting in an appropriate way, and I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I mean, same thing with it reminds me of the Freddy versus Jason. That was great. And the fact that they wove it together the way that they did, I was like, all right, well done. Okay, you were able to bring Freddy into our world and Jason into his, and all right, keep going with that. I like that. I'm a sucker for that stuff.
Totally.
Like, I happen to rewatch Godzilla versus Kong, the first one.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's fun.
But it is also heavy. Like, it's a lot of let's follow Kong while he goes and finds his magical axe. Yes. And then you have the people follow him in a ship, which is the people who have to go, audience, this is where they come from. It's a different dimension. And that magical axe means he's home.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then at the end, like, all right, just, great, I got it.
The USS exposition.
and unfortunately, you have to because those characters don't talk.
Yeah.
So I still have to see. I'm gonna go back and rewatch Godzilla King of Monsters.
I love that one.
Because you know why you love it? Because you know who those characters are. I don't know the three-headed thing. I don't know what that is. But I watched. It's a horror special. It's on the horror channel, Shudder.
Mm-hmm.
It's we're watching them. My wife and I are going through it's a 2-season thing called Horror's Greatest. And each episode is a focus on like love horror stories or, kaiju, horror or etc. And the last one of the first season is Stephen King. Like they do that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, you'd love it. It's great. But I watch it through the Fire Stick, so I get to ping, 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 watch every one. And we just watched one with the kaijus, and they talk about the original Godzilla and what was the one they just talked about? The Gigantuans, the battle.
Oh, War of the Gigantuans, yes.
Yeah, and how even though it's so low budget, there's still an effort there that you go, no, I'm buying into this, and this is a good story, And they talk about Godzilla -1, which we both saw.
Yes.
You told me I had to see that, so I'm like, yep. And Mikey said, yeah, that was the best Godzilla thing I've ever seen. That was excellent.
Yeah.
Well, they get into the whole thing of Mothra and how they had their own movies. They're not just Godzilla, arch enemies. It's not like that. Oh no, that three-headed thing that I can't think of the name of. That
King
had
Ghidorah.
What is it?
King Ghidorah.
Thank you. He gets his own movie. So
Yeah.
the fact that this one has them all in it, they had like the director there doing the interview going, I asked the studio if I can do it. And they're like, yeah, go ahead. I'm like, okay. So I have to go back with this new appreciation and watch it.
Because before Godzilla, King of the Monsters, the only time you got that much of a monster palooza with everybody there would have been in Destroy All Monsters, which is great. That's like a classic one. That's one of the first time you had Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, Ghidorah, and Gyrus, all of them in one big movie, all hanging out on Monster Island.
And see, had you been closer, had you lived closer, I would come over to your house and say, teach me, show me, sit with me while I watch these, because I need someone to go, this is why this is so cool, Whereas when I first watched it, I'm like, all right, Godzilla, do your thing. Come on, Godzilla, but not appreciating the other characters.
Yeah.
So now I got to go back and I got to watch that. And then I got to watch the new Kong Godzilla.
Did you watch the previous Kong movie, the one that's set in Vietnam?
Yes.
Also great.
Skull Island.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That was the first one I saw. I don't even know if I saw the original remake that's connected with King Kong. I don't know if I watched that one yet. I went straight to Kong Island.
Yeah, that one's so good.
It's so good. It's one that I go, Mikey, you got to watch this. Like, we're going to sit down and watch this because the rhythm goes like Godzilla versus Kong. You have to be patient with. You have to watch Kong do his, and they have to get him from one side of the globe to the other. Okay, and you got to be patient. You got to listen to the narration. Whereas Skull Island, it's okay. Yeah. Oh crap. Oh no.
It's Apocalypse Now with the giant monkeys.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get the John C. Reilly story, which just gives the whole thing heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, did you watch the Monarch?
I haven't watched it yet. I heard it's great.
Okay. So far it's been one season. Kurt Russell and his son are in it as older and younger versions of the same character.
Well, that's cool. That's smart.
It's great. It's great. And for a guy who doesn't consider himself a giant monster guy, I like good stuff, whatever it is. So, and this gets into the guts of it. It starts in like the 40s and more jumps back and forth to modern day. And Monarch is, if you've seen the movies, I think they mention it, is the organization like S.H.I.E.L.D., basically.
Yeah, it's the Godzilla versus S.H.I.E.L.D., basically.
Right. So it's their origin story, basically. And how it was a military thing. And, let's see if we could bring this giant lizard out of the ocean. Why? Why would you do that? And so, if you're into that, you're going to love it. But it also gets into the whole thing of explaining where they come from, which isn't they don't just go into the ocean.
Yeah.
Nothing is sleeping in the bottom of the ocean. They actually talk about it's a different reality portal thing. Like they're living their own little lives in their own thing, and sometimes they cross over, which I'm like, good. Thank you. Which I think they do in Skull Island. Actually, they don't.
Yeah, and in Skull Island, the whole idea of them being like titans, and they really hit that in King of the Monsters, where like these titans are here and they're part of the system, and if you leave them alone and don't attack them, then good things can happen. I think at the end of the film, over the credits, you see like once Godzilla got back to his natural place, all these things kind of unwind. It's really well done.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna have to rewatch it when we're done, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm appreciating the effort by the people who do this, because the stuff from Skull Island shows up in Monarch.
Yeah. They
have John Goodman. They're watching his film that he made on Skull Island. It's because of him that they're like, wait, we can connect this to that because of the, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Little things matter. But back to what we were saying about the new Cap. As much as I don't mind Sam being Cap, I do miss Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
And I really wouldn't mind if, with these upcoming movies, if they somehow, even if they have to recast him, I guess, if they brought back that Cap. Not to say anything bad about Sam.
Yeah, I don't know how you recast any of
I
those
know.
any of the big six.
Agreed. I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
I just know that I feel it every time they go, the Avengers are together. And you look and they're not there, and you're like,
Yeah.
really? Did like the story of the new Brave New World was great, and the fact that they were smart enough to focus on Harrison Ford. Like you know, I'm waiting for the big bad to be Harrison Ford going, I'm still Thunderbolt Ross and I'm gonna kill the Hulk. He goes, no, I realize I messed up bad and I'd like to be a good person. I'm waiting for him to go, just kidding. But no, through the whole movie, you're rooting for this guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's the heart of that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And I'm also pleased they didn't do the thing they normally do where they kill off the villains.
Right.
You know?
Right. That's so short
the leader around, you're gonna want to use them at some point.
Yep. I always hated that back with Batman 89. Wait, did the Joker just die? Do you not understand what you have?
These guys don't need to be one-offs. Don't burn them off.
Yeah. Like, no. You just close the door on great potential to have, like, all the Arkham inmates come at Batman at once.
Yeah.
You know. But, let me think.
Were you watching the silly Marvel live stream last week with all the director chairs?
I was going to bring that up to you. Thank you for transitioning to that. No, I did not, and thank God, because I watched the How It Should Have Ended version of that.
Well, I didn't see that. I'll look it up whenever we're done with it.
Yeah, it's Batman and Superman, like, supposedly live watching it.
Yeah.
Going, all right, here we go. Okay, no, wait, we're just going to sit here and look at chairs for a half hour?
It was good. It was the first day I was back in the office in a couple of years because my office, at the agency, we were all work from home. But I had to be back in the office today, so I just had that on my laptop, just kind of running all day. And every 10 minutes, I'd pop in and go, oh, look at that! Some good surprises too. I'm so glad that Channing Tatum's Gambit is coming back.
I don't know why. I mean, good for you, I guess. I don't see him as Gambit.
You think he's hilarious?
I don't think he's supposed to be hilarious. He's one of those characters that I like the design. I like the idea of him. I don't necessarily want to listen to him, but he's a character that I root for. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about Nova, but I kind of want to root for him because I like the design of him.
See, because I'm like, I have no affection for Gambit because Gambit was introduced after my prime X-Men reading days. So like even the animated series, Gambit was there, but I could just easily lift him out and I'm fine. But Tatum loves that character so much that when you see him in the suit fighting, he looks great. And I didn't really care the fact that he can't play for comedy. I'm sure they're going to tone him back when they put him in the real movie and not a straight comedy like Deadpool Wolverine was. But I'm just so glad that it was such a big hit that it got him to keep the job.
I like the idea that paid off for him because he got jerked around like
Oh yeah,
Henry Cavill kind of got jerked around kind of thing. So when you see it pay off for an actor, you go, oh, good. I'm glad that your patience paid off. But no, he's too bulky to be Gambit. Like Gambit's a thin, skinny, thing. And I don't like I don't consider what he does acting. You know what I mean? Like the other guy, who's the other guy that I always get him mixed up with that does the hefty commercials? That's from Suicide Squad.
Oh, John Cena?
Yeah, John Cena's a good actor. John Cena, I root for. I go, oh, you can act. You wow. For a wrestler, you got acting chops. Channing Tatum, I never can say his name right. I'm sorry, you're a male stripper, and I want you to.
He's a good performance. Just Hateful Eight, he's great.
Um, I don't remember him in that, but
He's
apparently,
he comes in at the end. He's under the house.
okay.
Yeah, no, he's. I think I'm not a big Tatum fan, but I think you're underselling him a bit. But anyway, I'm happy.
Sure I am.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are roles where he's amazing. And clearly, I didn't have a problem with them in Hateful Eight because I love that movie.
Yeah. I was also happy to see Kelsey Grammer back on the list.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let's talk about the fact that we're getting Magneto, Professor X, and Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I'm sure it's the otherworld version, because we're doing the whole meshing of worlds, and that's fine because they're not going to move forward as these characters. So if this is their last hurrah to go, wait, I'm morphing, I'm changing into your universe's version of new actor.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Great. By all means, love it. A lot of the cast, I don't know. I don't have a problem with who they announced, except they're not making me go watch the movie if I wasn't already watching the movie, like Buwaka or whatever the heck his name is from Black Panther.
Oh, M'Baku?
M'Baka, yeah, that's it.
I love M'Baku.
Yeah, me too. But he's not selling me on the movie. It's like, oh, okay, that's nice. Okay, good that he's going to be there.
I think the larger effect is what's selling you on the movie is this is going to be a big cast of thousands, Infinity War Endgame type deal. So I think cumulatively it sells you on the movie.
I agree, and also they said this isn't the whole cast. Of course, there's a bunch we're keeping quiet.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Spider-Man's going to be there. But they're not going to tell you right away. And, that kind of stuff.
Strange is for sure going to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We're going to get Captain Marvel and Photon because there's that's tied directly to the X-Men stuff.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. You're right. So, I as far as what I thought about it, granted, thank God I didn't sit there and
wait. Yeah. I wouldn't have wanted to actually watch it, but I thought it was a fun gimmick.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we're getting any sort of news on it.
Yeah.
But again, I'm just kind of sitting there going, okay, good. You're moving forward, and I will not super analyze it the way so many people do. I do what I do with all the movie things of Marvel and go, and actually I could say that with DC now. Just, I trust you. Until you show me that I can't, do what you're going to do, and I will buy it. I have no problem with any of it.
I do hope, specifically with Alan Cummings' Nightcrawler, which I thought was a great performance before, they just skipped the weird carving branding things all over the face and body. I always thought that was weird.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know why they did it. I'm like, you can't just let him have skin.
This is going to be the exact same character in the same way that, the Beast we saw in the Marvels looked different than the Beast in X-Men 3, although it was still clearly Kelsey Grammer.
That's what I love about, you and I have known this forever, but the general movie-going audience is now understanding that multi-universe, that means anything can happen, slight variations, and it's okay that Ben Affleck's Daredevil is out there and we have our own Daredevil, and and there's a bunch of Batman, but they're not necessarily from the same universe. The concept of a multi-universe, I'm happy to see the general public go, oh, so I don't have to get angry that, in your case, Nightcrawler or Beast or Nightcrawler, they're not the exact same ones that I saw before, but they're close enough that in my mind I can let it go and go, yeah, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But ultimately, who cares? Like, just everybody still exists.
Yeah.
Your version of this is not getting wiped out because of this new version. I think that's the best thing with this whole multiverse series kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. There was a lot of the MCU haters. There's a lot of talk about how there were too many of the Marvel stuff focusing on the multiverse, and they need to go to something else. But actually, it doesn't really bear out because the three Marvel films that have done the most successful have been multiverse based. The Spidey No Way Home, and the Doctor Strange. So I mean, if it's a good movie, it's gonna do fine.
And you know, and of course, it gets back to that whole cynicism about the world in general, where just shut up and enjoy what you have. Now, everybody's like, you're giving them gold, and they're like, that sucked. That was not one of the best. Where's our end game? Where's our this, that? Then you don't deserve the good that you're getting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when I would read people going, enough with the multiverse. Why? Is it too confusing for you? Can you not wrap your head around it? Because we as comic book people, or even just sci-fi people, love this. Yeah. It allows for everything.
It didn't stop Deadpool versus Wolverine making $1 kajillion. So clearly, it's not as if the audience is turning away from it. No.
Right. And you know, and I'm seeing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm seeing DC, for example, is who I always think of, where, you know, with Gotham, well, we can't have Batman in it, and we can't call him the Joker, because that will confuse the audience. Or if we have Batman in a movie, we can't do a Batman TV show, because people will get confused. We're not stupid, and clearly they have proven that the world can accept two different versions of the same character.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect that a lot of the whole audiences won't accept it is just smokescreen for what really is happening is producers wanting to keep things for themselves, and not wanting to let someone else do another version while they're trying to do a bigger version or a more expensive version. I mean, the best example of that is, I mean, the Flash, Green Arrow TV shows were great, and I mean, and there were ups and downs.
Sure.
Overall, much more of a success and much more faithful to the DC Comics than the last few years of the films.
Well, we always talk about anytime they have Superman and Batman killing, you're like, done. You don't understand these characters. You moron.
Did you see Creature Commandos?
Yes, thank you for mentioning. Okay, see, you got your list. I'm glad, because I always leave our conversations going, crap. Yes. What did you think? As I interrupt you taking a sip of something.
I really enjoyed it, and it felt to me very much in the same vein as what Gunn did with Guardians. And taking little known characters, making you care about them, introducing them. I think it was a bit formulaic in that every episode had flashbacks to a member's backstory, but that's not a bad device.
You have to do that because nobody knows who these characters are. Right. You know, and the tragedy of their backstory, you're like, holy crap. Like, for example, okay, so the thing that I'm always afraid of, that I know we've talked about with Gunn, is he's got that juvenile side to him where he thinks, you know, boobies and sex is the way to go with everything. And it clashes with all the great stuff of Guardians kind of world.
I'll grant you violence with Gunn, but not.
I don't care about violence. Violence
I don't. Where's the sex stuff in Gunn's work?
First 2 episodes of Creature Commandos.
Creature Commando, yes. I'm talking about.
That's all I'm talking about. Okay. I'm going to go with that. That's all I'm focusing on, because to me, I see it. It's the Kevin Smith kind of thing. Kevin Smith, I love. He's brilliant. He's sincere. He's a great storyteller. But there's a side to him that never got past the age of 6. And I don't mean it in a charming way. I mean it in I can't help but say inappropriate things in an everyday sentence kind of thing, which he's aware of. And I think Gunn kind of has that thing with him too, because I saw it in Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad had great stuff in it, but it was also a lot of sexual over-the-topness. And I don't mean like showing a shoulder. I'm not being prudish. I'm talking about, can I show my family this thing? And violence, I'll go with. I don't care. My kids are well-adjusted with that. But there'd be things that would happen with, say, Suicide Squad as opposed to Guardians.
In Suicide Squad, there's Harley's affair with the Presidente guy, and
I'm
that's
not
not
talking about the
really
sex. I'm talking about the language.
the
Like,
language. So you're in language, okay?
I'm sorry. I should have been more specific. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no nudity per
yeah,
se. No, I mean, and it's the same thing with Peacemaker. Peacemaker is great, but I can't watch it with my son because there's a lot of words that are not appropriate for a kid to hear, or really, I don't want to hear it as an adult, but I can take it. I don't want to subject them to it and then have to sit and have a conversation about what was said. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
And
I
with
don't. The language doesn't really bother me as much as. But honestly, I think Gunn. For me, my bigger problem with Gunn, and it's not a problem. It's just
right, right,
something
right.
I noticed that I think he falls back on too much is the over the top violence.
Sure, sure.
And I think he likes that for shock value. I don't think you need it. It doesn't make me like the movie any less, but it feels like a crutch he doesn't need.
Right. It's the Tarantino thing.
Yeah,
Tarantino it makes brilliant movies, but you go, you didn't need to do that. We didn't need to shoot that guy in the face unnecessarily, or that
yeah,
kind of thing. Um, okay, so with Creature Commandos fell into that for the first two episodes because they're actually showing the Bride of Frankenstein having sex with Frankenstein.
yeah.
I not necessary. Not necessary. It was over the top. I can't now watch that with my family. And in the first or second one, Flag is in the other room and they're going at it. And they focus on it. And I'm like, let's be mature. This is a superhero thing. This is something that's supposed to be heroic to whatever degree. And like too many people are trying to do The Boys, I feel like. I think we live in a world of The Boys where it's just because you can get away with it doesn't mean you necessarily should. And then after the shock of it, it becomes cliche and you go, yeah, I forgot. All right. Yep, here it comes. You know what I mean? It becomes predictable.
The
And
thing with the boys, this is when back to whenever I had my shop and I'd be selling the book to people. You know, it's not for me, but I get why people like it with the boys.
sure, sure.
And I feel the same about the TV show too. I tried to get into it, and in that first episode, it was just the shock value violence was just so over the top that it was dispiriting. I'm like,
That's perfectly said.
but I again, people dig it, cool. I'm glad it's there for them, but I'm out.
Yeah, and for me, the world has too much of that now.
Yeah,
Had there been that little weird corner, yeah, doesn't have to, I always say that when people ask me, I'm like, it's not for me. Same thing with certain music. Yeah, it's not for me. I wish it was. Blah 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 blah. And you kind of go, I'm okay with that. But when Gunn is now the head of DC movies and shows, that means you have that responsibility to not just that small section. You need to appeal to families. Like I want to be able to whether to, and I'm not even being that specific. I want to be able to sit down with my family and be okay with what I'm watching and not go, let me hold the remote and be ready to fast forward something or stop it or whatever. And after the first couple episodes of Creature Commandos, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. It was heartbreaking. The thing with GI Robot,
yeah, robot,
right, and Weasel. I actually had my son sit down because again I got to watch them first because I don't trust what Gunn's doing yet, or really what the world is doing yet. It's supposed to be superheroes, which means it should be inspirational at the very least, and superheroes. I shouldn't be nervous about showing it to people in my family. So I have to watch it first. So I watched the first couple. I'm like, darn it. This is really well done, but I can't show them these two episodes. And then third episode on, they get you with the heartbreaking, the Weasel story and GI Robot. So I said, okay, sit down. You got to see this because he was asking about it. And I showed him it. And he goes, wow, that was heartbreaking.
yeah,
I mean, really, and it really was. And I think that's what Gunn is really, really good at. He Guardians prove that you really feel for these characters, and even in Peacemaker. Peacemaker is gratuitous and filthy language, but
there's still a heart to it.
there's still beautiful heart to it where you root for these guys, and by the end of the season, you're sad to see that it's over.
And I mean, what was so great about Peacemaker was that you really find out why he's so messed up when you see his father.
Yeah,
and then the father turned out to be so much worse than you even were set up for the beginning. He's the White Dragon. He's a white supremacist. He's a monster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so
that kind of pays off. Just the fact that the Peacemaker has become in any way a redeemable character after that childhood, it really pays everything off.
Exactly. And the part where he's all sad and he's playing the piano by himself, remember?
Crazy.
Right. And I'm like, you son of a bee, you got me. You got me. All right. Okay, good.
I mean, I hear what you're saying about it's a superhero show, but I mean, a show like Creature Commandos, which is kind of an extension of the Suicide Squad idea where it's monsters and not villains.
Sure.
I think the tone in that is going to be very different than what he's going to do with something like Superman.
Oh, definitely.
And you can just see that. You can see that in the trailer for Superman.
Yeah, and that's which is why it bothers me so much, because the things that I'm nitpicking that I go, oh, I can't show my family. These things are not. Had he taken them out, it would not have hurt the rest of it at all. So it feels like that little boy. I'm gonna draw a little, thing on it. It's unnecessary, and all I feel is the to it. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
Because the good is so good. It's so good. Even
that extended trailer that dropped for Superman this week.
Yeah.
You see the fortress and the robots. Come on.
And right, and it was great because people online are like, "Why do the robots have capes?" And somebody put, All-Star Superman. That's why. And they show the panel with the blue capes.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad people are calling them out on their whininess.
Yeah, well, just like, look, I think it's hilarious that there's this whole multiple generations of people who are going to have to face the fact that, look, Superman's got a dog. And it's canon. It's legit. It's been around since 1951. Superman has a dog. Deal with it.
Right? Right? I love it. I'm so glad. It gives it's basically, not to compare, but since it's Gunn doing it, it's your Groot and Rocket Raccoon part. You need it. It's great. Because you have Superman who has to be strong and heroic, but you could also have the comic sweet relief off to the side to come in occasionally and lick your face, Yeah. And I won't. The only thing I worry about, and I can't wait to be proven wrong or, whatever about this. I don't see him being Superman yet. I see him being, like when he's laying there and he's hurting, Crypto jumps on him. And he's, and I'm like, can you deepen the voice a little bit? I understand you're in pain, but there's a certain bravado that has to happen with Superman. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I'm sure we're going to get that stuff.
I'm sure we will. Again, that's what I'm saying. I'm judging it by a 5-minute extended scene. I can't wait to be wrong because I want what we're getting so bad. The fact that they let the other version be dark and like you don't get to see the blue in the outfit and he's not inspirational. Poor Henry Cavill. I mean, God.
Did you watch the finale of Lois and Superman?
I didn't. I am a couple seasons behind because
it's very good.
I heard that Doomsday's in it.
Yeah. Some primo Lex Luthor. It's just, and then just the way they end the series is just
really
so well done.
all right, I'm looking forward to that because again, it was one of those where the family and I were watching the last of the CW shows, and with Superman, I think we're in season 2. We got to the end of season 2, and they were going on some sort of extended break, and we kind of went, all right. It was before they switched the actor to be the son, so I haven't seen the new actor as his son. And we had a problem with the fact that not that he had a son, but that they're like, no, he has to have 2 sons, and we have to not have him be in Metropolis, and we're just kind of like, okay, all right. When he's Superman or even Clark, he's great, but all the side stuff, I just was like,
yeah, I'm not a fan of any sort of like ongoing stories that were about Superman with kids, but
Right.
they handled it well, and the flashbacks are so good.
Love with him first showing up with the black shield.
Yeah.
Oh, why did we not get more of that?
Yeah. And like, there's that one great flashback where Superman's being interviewed by Lois on TV, and then they come back and she admits to her producer friend that she's in love with Clark Kent, and of course Superman's listening to everything. So well done,
Right? I mean, that and the fact that like they wouldn't let the guy shave. I'm like, really? You're gonna give Superman with 5 o'clock shadow? Give me.
I think that guy is like one of those guys where if he shaves, he has to shave for like 10 minutes because I never see him without that.
Right.
It can't just be an affectation. He's like Fred Flintstone. He's always got it.
Yeah, and I'm like, that doesn't feel right.
It's weird.
So it was one of
He's
those.
so good otherwise. I just like, let it go. He's such a good Superman.
He is. He really is. That and Stargirl, we stopped around the same time.
Yeah, I gotta go back and finish that one too.
Right.
Because I hear there's a lot more JSA stuff in that second season.
Well, I saw the second season, and you're right, it is. It's great. But there's another season after that. So it's one of those where I'll get back to it. I'll do it. It's added to the list with that Superman and Lois. Okay. And I remember with like Lana Lang, and she's running for mayor, and I don't care enough. Like, there's too much side character stories that I don't need. And she's got marriage troubles, and I just went. When I'm on my own, I'll go back and watch it because you don't get that many hours when you come home from work to spend with your family. So if you're gonna watch something, it has to be, we have to click new Daredevil's on, we're watching kind of thing. And then after that, they either have done their homework or they got to go up and do their homework or shower and go to bed. So you can't go next. Let's move. You got an hour. So yeah, I'll get back to it. And again, if things are any good to such a degree, then I'll go, come on, family, we got to watch this. This is worth your time. I'll gladly be the filter for you. But yeah, I'm so glad we're getting. Oh, what about lanterns?
I mean, I like the idea of it. Any sort of fresh take on Green Lantern sounds good to me. I like the fact that it's confirmed that Filligan's going to be in there too.
Yes. I mean, that would have been stupid if he's going to be in the Superman movie and he's not in Lanterns.
Yeah.
Come on, do an episode with him in at least one out of that bunch.
I love that. Again, you see the people online complaining about Fillian's haircut and like blaming Gunn for it. It's like, dude, it's what the character looks like.
Well, no, what somebody showed was it's the bowl cut is too low, whereas if it just went up a little bit with the shaved sides, it would have looked better. But shut up, people. You're getting Guy Gardner. Shut up. And you're getting Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. That's perfect.
Yeah.
McGuire was like, is always online going, that's right. I waited all my life for this, and here it is. And I love that about Gunn. He's not closing the door on using all these characters across all movies and shows.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? And you know this, all our life we're like, why is that character not showing up here? Like, even in Captain America, the fact that the Hulk didn't show up in Brave New World, I'm like, I don't know how they could have fit him in there because they think he would have stolen the show.
I think so.
Because
a lot of it is, you want to have the focus on the star of your film, and if you keep doing too much of that, then every movie is an Avengers movie.
Yep. Yep, I agree. I agree. So I don't see how they would have been able to have him in there, but at the same time, you're like, the leader is a Hulk villain, and we never see him.
Yeah.
But again, no problem with the movie. I'm thankful for it. I thought it was great. I thought it paid. Pardon me. I thought it paid off so many loose threads brilliantly.
Yeah.
Right, and it gave him something to do. I love the Falcon Winter Soldier tie in. With what's his name, the first Cap,
Oh, yeah.
Bradley.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant, love it. Because you know what I said after when the movie was over, we walked out of the theater and I said to the family, you know what I noticed, and this might be something that people are going to nitpick on. They did not do a lot of flashback to explain it to the people who never saw Falcon and Winter Soldier or the Incredible Hulk. So a lot of this paid off for you and I, but the general public who occasionally thinks, oh, I could just go watch a Marvel movie. Well, don't complain when you don't understand what they're referring to.
Yeah.
Right? Because they could have, and it was a shorter movie than I think it needed to be. I think it should have been longer. If they had just done flashbacks to the Incredible Hulk and Falcon Winter Soldier to explain that area just a little bit, it would have been more for the general audience. They would have been able to accept it more.
Yeah, it makes it a bit more approachable.
Yeah, there's a certain word, palatable.
Yeah,
there you go. That's the word. But again, I watch all the stuff, so I didn't need it.
That's all I care about, exactly.
Right? I'm like, no, keep going. Go ahead. Give me.
I'm psyched for Thunderbolts.
Surprisingly, I am too. This again, it's the Marvel thing that Marvel can do that maybe others can't necessarily. And I don't mean DC, I mean other, like Sony. You can do a one-off team and have it be just as excellent as any Avengers.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, It comes down to the writing and the care for the characters. And already I'm like, oh, this is great. Oh, Bucky's going after them. Oh, holy, that whole car scene. That's great.
Yeah.
Like,
especially the best things about the Black Widow movie were Yelena and David Harbour's Red Guardian.
Yep.
So if I'm getting those two and I'm getting more Bucky Barnes, I'm sold.
Yeah, agreed. And also to get more of Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Oh, Valentina.
Yeah. Because she's still kind of floating out there. I mean, the world, you and I know who she is. But again, the general public is like, is she good? Is she bad? Is she just sarcastic? What's her deal? And I think this movie will finally let people know where she stands.
Yeah.
And they haven't shown them yet, but it's been spoiled because of all the merchandising. We're getting Century.
Yeah. Well, I knew that was going to be the case anyway, just from the first trailer where you basically see the Void stuff.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it's just making people go.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm thrilled, and I'm thrilled that they're keeping the casting accurate to the character.
Yeah.
Right. Because the Century, they're like, maybe Glenn from The Walking Dead will be.
He had the part and then backed out of it.
Yeah.
And I never understood that casting.
Right? I mean, it felt like it was diversity for the sake of attention as opposed to, because he's a great actor.
I mean, I got nothing against that guy, but
no,
there's nothing we've seen in his acting skills that makes you go, okay, he's the guy to play this part.
Right. And I don't know who they have being Century, but I'm okay with it because it seems like it's accurate to what we know.
Yeah.
And this character's not that old.
No, it's I mean, and the character by design is supposed to be kind of bland, cookie cutter, generic superhero.
Yep, which is great because that's his.
He should kind of just be the dumb looking white guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big blonde surfer dude.
Yeah,
what's his name? Who's Glenn? He's a great actor.
Yeah,
but use him more appropriately. Give him a character that you go, oh yeah, clearly he was made for, that role. Just like Tony Stark is Robert Downey Jr. You can't do better than that. It's funny too when I look at some of the actors who tried out for Cap, and I love John Krasinski, but he would not have matched the way Chris Evans does.
No.
And the guy who's Bullseye tried out for Cap.
Yeah.
And he's a great Bullseye. They did well casting those cases.
Krasinski is great. I love him. I think he's hilarious, and he turned out to be a pretty good action guy with the some of the more recent stuff he's done.
Jack Ryan.
He doesn't have the inspirational thing.
Right. He's a great actor, and you love to watch him, but there's something that Chris Evans does where he's able to sell the potential corny lines, but make it sound sincere and I'm serious.
That was exactly the thing. He sells the sincerity.
Yeah, and you don't go, oh, he's acting. You go,
right.
More of that. I want more of that guy.
Well, because with Krasinski, you always get the acerbic. You always get the smirky. And one thing Evans does so well is Steve Rogers can be funny, but he's not snide about it.
Right.
He's incapable of it. It's not because he's trying to be. That's not in his nature.
He's the Boy Scout. He's the geeky Boy Scout.
Yeah.
And it's noble and sweet. And you're right. He pulls that off so well, and that's the stuff I miss. Like even when he's sitting around the first time with the rest of the Avengers at the table, and he goes, I got that reference.
Yes.
You're going, oh, good for you. Look at, you got, like you're not making fun of him. You're like, oh, I'm happy. He's learning, like that kind of thing. But he's never like the nerd. He's never like, I got that. He's still, he can't help but be bulky, strong, noble Captain America.
Yeah.
Even if he's sleeping, you still get that.
Yes.
And I miss that. That's the type of stuff that, unless they can get Chris Evans back, I don't know how they could ever replace Captain America. What'd you think of the new Falcon? That kind of came out of nowhere, didn't it?
I mean, I knew they were doing it, and that's also from the comics too. There is a new Falcon who is like that kind of role in the comics, and it's not something that I have any great affection for because I didn't read it as a kid.
Right.
So, I thought it played well on screen, and it's kind of like the same thing that the all sidekicks are there for, is to give the hero someone to talk to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He wasn't in Falcon Winter Soldier, was he?
Yeah, he was the ground guy.
Well, okay, so he was the guy at the computer?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, then that at least ties in better, because the way that they had him just show up, I was like, all right, we're supposed to already know who you are. I feel like that's something we're supposed to already be comfortable with. And I thought, I don't remember all of the details of that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I need to go back and watch that series again because I liked it a lot, but it's been a long time.
Good. It was so good, and yeah, I do miss. I do miss knowing that we were getting a whole bunch of Marvel shows. However, I understand why they had to pull back because of once you got Secret Invasion that turned out to be less than wonderful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that had such potential, but it didn't quite go anywhere, and it focused too much on green guys I have no affection for. Like, you can't tell anybody what green guy was what green guy. And then they're also double agents. So now that green guy is a good guy or a bad guy? Yeah. I don't know.
That's the kind of story that works so much better as a comic book event than it does in a TV show or even a movie, because in the comics, what was great about it was in every series said, who's a Skrull, who's not a Skrull. So that was your big hook. But you can't do that across when there's just one TV show, because they're not going to pay to get everybody back. You're not going to see the Avengers. You're not going to see anybody else, and then reveal some or not, because they just can't afford that sort of thing.
Well, yeah. And the way I thought, here's what I thought, and I think everybody else thought it was going to be. It was the build-up to Secret Invasion, the movie, Avengers Secret War or whatever, right? So okay, fine. Set the groundwork. Okay, oh, it's Nick Fury doing his thing. And they changed him and they made it seem like, well, everything that he ever did that was supposed to be super spy, he had the green guys doing for him. So he's not some great spy, he just has connections. And it kind of made him not look great.
Yeah, no, it wasn't well thought out.
No, right? And it hurt the whole brand, unfortunately. Whereas everything else I loved. I didn't have a problem with anything else.
The good thing is it seems to have been mostly forgotten. So
Sure. Right. And it did kind of wrap itself up.
Yeah.
If you wanted it to be done, you could go. It was the same thing with the Kang thing.
yeah,
If that's the end of that, you did get your wrapped up story, so we don't need to prolong it anymore.
yeah,
Okay. That's good with me. Fine. As long as they don't leave the loose threads out everywhere.
yeah. And there's not much with the Kang stuff that they really need to wrap up. I mean, we saw the stinger at the end of Ant-Man with all the different versions of Kang, but you know, it's not like it doesn't leave huge plot holes that need to be tidied up.
Right. I'm waiting for them to use Moon Knight again.
Yeah,
Moon Knight was one of those where the last episode felt rushed. It felt like we have to wrap this up. We kind of did this whole weird thing with, these creature people and, the afterlife. Okay, now we're done. Oh, by the way, those two versions of him are dead. But guess what? He's still around.
yeah. The show was otherwise so great and so distinctive. It didn't quite land the way I wanted it to.
Yeah, and like I still have a problem with the version that they did. Like they had it be where he's superhuman and bullets bounce off him and the suit kind of wraps around him and he's I love the whole idea of him losing time. I love that. That's cool. But it didn't keep him grounded. Once he became Moon Knight, he had no personality.
Yeah, because for most of Moon Knight's publishing career, he was basically, not to be awful, but kind of second-rate Batman. He's a rich guy in a costume, and the unique hook was the multiple personality thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then around the 80s, when they really lead into the Fist of Khonshu, and there was more of a mystical thing to him, and whether he really did have powers or not, and they try to kind of play it both ways, and I'm not sure that worked that well.
Yeah, and the fact that they dropped the ball with Blade, clearly do a Midnight Sun series. Give us either a movie or better yet, give us a series where you can throw them, all these great characters together. You can get Man-Thing in there for an episode if you want. But can you imagine Blade and Moon Knight together and whoever else you think fits in that?
Yeah.
Whether it's like the Black Knight or whatever. I'll accept whatever they do, but do something.
Yeah.
Like you built us up to expect certain things, and if it doesn't pay off, we're still going.
Yeah.
We love what you're giving us, but what about this one thing that we loved? Can we?
Yeah, not everything needs to be saved for a big film because not everything needs a big film.
Thank you. Exactly.
They're not all goals.
Right. And also that old concept of movie is better than TV doesn't work anymore. We've said that. Give me a TV show where you could flesh out a character and the pacing is better and you get more of what you like as opposed to let's cram it in with a 2-hour thing.
Yeah.
I recently wrote a blog about what I think you and I were talking about how, and I'm trying to just get it out there so the people in charge will open their eyes and go, yeah, I'm hoping they've already thought of this. Speaking of which, in a 2-hour movie, you cannot have G.I. Joe and Transformers intermingle unless you take time to explain who these characters are.
Yeah.
And the best way to do it, we got Transformers. If you want to spend the 2 hours explaining who these Transformers are, fine. Do a handful of them. But all the G.I. Joe guys, even if you pick a team of 5, let's say we focus on 5 GI Joe characters. You can't do it in 2 hours. So I wrote a thing that I put on the Patreon, which reminds me I should be putting things out for people to see. Let's see, we're going to do that. Go there. It's on our Forever Adventure Network page. I was saying, do a TV series. I don't care if it's a mini series. I don't care what you call it. Give us at least 8 episodes to get to know each character. Right? I mean, that's the way to do it, because by the time you get to the movie, which everybody thinks, oh, that'll be the big payoff, you're already going to know who these characters are. Otherwise, They look like cliches of what you already know. Or cliches of, oh, okay, so there's Shipwreck. Oh, he's the sailor. And? Or Gung Ho. Oh, he's the big macho military.
You can't start off with a crossover film when the last GI Joe films have so underperformed, and even the only one that did well was like easily 15 years ago. So you gotta invest the time in making audiences remember who these characters are.
Right. Well, and with the Transformers, they did a great job, especially on the last couple where they made them actually look like we know them to look like. Not everybody's gray.
Yeah.
Big gray fighting machines that you can't tell who's who. No, now, since Bumblebee and Beast Wars, they look like what they look like, the toys that you've been getting.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, that's so good. When they show Bumblebee in the beginning with them on Cybertron, and Optimus looks like Optimus, and Jazz is there, and they're all, fighting like, I know who all those characters are, and I'm excited. That's what you want. Yeah. And with G.I. Joe, they have their own distinct personalities. They have their own great background. You got like, who would you say would be your 5 that you would show in the movie?
Well, you gotta have Duke, Scarlet, and Snake Eyes. And then depending on where your story is going, I would say you want someone from like the first couple assortments. So you throw in maybe Shipwreck, maybe Ace, maybe it depends also what vehicles you're going to be using a lot. Because
sure.
then you might throw in a Clutch, or then you might throw in see, I was always a sucker for Cutter and the hovercraft.
Yeah, sure.
I love the hovercraft, but it really depends on where your script goes. But you need Duke, you need Scarlet, I'd throw in Lady J or CoverGirl too. So there's more than just one woman.
Yeah, I mean, you still want them to look like we always say. You still want them to look like they're part of the military. Yeah. You don't want them to look like who was the guy? I never got him and I never liked him. He had like the headphones on with the antennas and he was green. You know who I'm talking about?
Yes. Yeah. I was that Dial Tone, I think?
No. Dial Tone is the guy with the beret and the headset. Dial Tone's cool enough. If anything, he had that giant backpack that had the thing that, right?
Well, the problem is if you go with too much of the signal, if you get like Wild Bill and Gung Ho and Spirit, all of a sudden you got the Village People.
Well, and it depends on if you line them up and do such a thing, sure. But like for me, I think you can do the vehicle drivers and not have to necessarily focus on them in the first movie.
Yeah.
Like if you get Wild Bill carting them around in the copter,
I'm just saying when you have the cowboy next to the Indian, next to Gung Ho, I mean, they're going to be saying YMCA.
Agreed. Clutch, Wild Bill, they don't need to have their backstory explained. They could be like the little tease that well, they're an interesting character, but you don't have to dive into their backstory so much as you would with Duke and Scarlet and Snake Eyes. Those are the gems. But yeah, like Shipwreck, who by the way I meant to bring him down. I just got him in the mail yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. And I got Dusty.
Oh,
Dusty
very good.
was yeah, because when I went to the local toy store to see about that Transformer, the Knight Rider one, he didn't have it, but I got to go over and see what Joe's are available. And I'm like, well, they got Sergeant Slaughter. I could get him. They got Leatherneck. Kind of want to get him. Even though he's kind of like, there's not much to him. He's just the Marine.
Yeah.
Leatherneck he's just the Marine. And I already have a Gung Ho, so I don't need that per se. But I'm like, you know what? Dusty's kind of been floating out there. He's one of my originals that I had years ago. He's kind of been gnawing at me. All right, I'll get that guy. I can always go back and get Sergeant Slaughter later. You know, because they have Sergeant Slaughter with the gunny sack that he carries and the weights. You know, so I'm like, that's a little more expensive. And granted, I now have a job, but you know, I don't want to blow all my money right away. Exactly. So I'm trying to pace myself.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I just got this Target exclusive.
Bring him up. Oh, that's the one to get. I want that one.
Well, the figure, the exclusive is just the figure, but I had the wheelchair already. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I love the jumpsuits from Savage with it. Really,
me too. That's like for me, that's the look for him.
Yeah,
I don't need him in a cozy tie and jacket. Give me the jumpsuit.
Yeah,
that at least gives you the illusion that he's going to be in the action.
Yeah,
as opposed to off to the side. To me, my X-Men. All right, now go over there, my X-Men. You know, get in there and do something, dude. Yeah. Punch a bad guy. You know. But yeah, so I was thinking about that. Like, they should do a miniseries. I would go with the 3 that you said. But then, yeah, if you go out just a little further, you can show Spirit. You don't have to focus a lot on Spirit in the movie. Because, again, him and Wild Bill kind of explain themselves just by looking at them. All right, he's a tracker. You could do Shipwreck. He's got enough character. He could be the comic relief.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, Flint and Lady J would probably my other 2 there.
I hate Flint. I mean, I'm going to get Flint when he comes out as a figure, but I hated him because they pushed Duke aside in the animated series to now have Flint lead the team. I'm like, hey, you already had a leader. What are you doing? You know, and you're going to have Hawk be there to like lead them and tell them where to go. You could do a backstory on him, but you could also wait on that. Like the main focus is going to be the ones that we're talking about. So that miniseries should focus on each character's backstory and then also show them intermingled with them on a mission together.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's how you do it.
Well, it's like, you know, Justice League Unlimited, some of those characters you only saw in crowd scenes. But you could pick them out and you knew who they were. So that's where your torpedoes and your dial tones and those guys go, where they're all about the look.
Right.
They just have them running alongside or running into the vehicles or in the big firefights.
And you can always do their backstory later. If there's a season 2 or whatever, go ahead, do that. But yeah, you have to get the main guys, the ones who, when you think G.I. Joe, whether you're into it or not, you know Duke, you know Snake Eyes, you know Scarlet. You know, as much as I love Quick Kick, I don't need an episode focusing on him per se. You know what I mean? Like, I love him.
His tragic backstory.
Yeah, he was a stuntman and wanted to see some action. Okay, great. And he's a great hand-to-hand combat great. You don't need an episode to tell you that. I just did it. You could do that if he shows up. You go, oh, Quick Kick? He'll kick the crap out of you. Moving on. You know? But yeah, I mean, if they don't do this, I'm sad to say I think the movie might not do as great as it could. And it's not going to be because of bad writing. It's because you're going to try and shove too much in a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
Right? But if you already have it be the payoff, much like the Godzilla King Kong stuff, we already got their solo movies, and now when they come together, you go, I already know what's going on. Oh,
that was always the DC problem, is they didn't want to take their time and introduce everybody. They wanted to jump to Justice League as fast as they could.
right, right. And that was on yesterday, and I was watching that. And by itself, it's not terrible. It's fun. I remember enjoying it in the theater. However, now I have the stigma of knowing where it could have gone had they made more movies.
Yeah.
Oh, you were going to kill off people and make it, again, you and I know how these characters are supposed to be. So it already started off on a bad foot. And then everything was dark. Oh, and then he was going to make it darker? No, thanks. No, I'm good, thanks.
Pass.
And they're talking about how they're I don't know if you saw it, where the plan is in like 11 years or so that they're going to do a Endgame kind of big thing in DC. Did you hear about that?
No, but I mean, 11 years, that's confident.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's like 6. Who knows?
Yeah.
But okay, again, I love the big spectacle's fun, but don't kill off our great guys.
Yeah, no, just make, as long as you're making good movies till you get there, great.
Right.
That's
But if you think you're going to kill off like the big 3,
no, that's ironic and idiotic.
Right. But
although I have to admit, I am dying to see what Momoa looks like in full Lobo makeup.
Oh, it's going to be great.
That's a good casting right there.
Well, that's been the fan casting since he showed up on Stargate Atlantis. He shows up, and I didn't like his character on Stargate Atlantis because it was so cliche. I'm a big tough guy. I don't know much, but I punch people in the face kind of thing. And Stargate was never cliche until then. It was the one producer who took over that spinoff, and he loves that kind of big-breasted bimbo women and alpha male guys. Whereas the original series, RDA in particular said, no, we're not, we're better than that. But even then, people are going, that guy, that's Lobo.
Yeah.
And apparently he thought the same thing. Because I saw the video of him talking about when he got the call for Aquaman. He's like, all right, Lobo, right? They're like, no, Aquaman.
Exactly.
The blonde guy? I'm not blonde. I don't look like I don't know. But, I still thought he did a great job.
Me too, yeah.
They were great movies. What did I see recently? Well, speaking of the horror movies, watching that miniseries, Horror's Greatest, occasionally I'll go, all right, I'm going to dive into some of these movies that people are talking about. Some pay off, some don't. We watched last night. We watched Nick Frost's movie that he wrote called. Give me 2 seconds. I have it saved actually. It is called. Oh, that's not the thing. 2 seconds. Getaway. I didn't even have to look it up. It's called Getaway.
I haven't heard.
And yeah, it was weird. It didn't quite pay off the way we thought it would, because it doesn't know if it wants to be a comedy or a horror film. And it's a family going to Sweden for a holiday. Well, this part of Sweden is having their annual, festival for the ancestors, blah, blah, blah. You think the town is it's like the Wicker Man.
Okay. Which, by the way, the original Wicker Man. Holy cow.
Okay. Yeah. I won't say any more about Get Out. It was interesting, but not one I would recommend. Or Get Out, not Get Out. Getaway, yeah. Getaway was not one I would recommend. Even though I like Nick Frost, it didn't know what it wanted to be. Wicker Man, yes. I watched that a couple years ago. And I'm ready for the 70s vibe. I'm ready for the slow pacing of a movie. No, this is a weird, great movie. But everybody knows the ending. But But you know what I'll tell you is great? The music.
Mm-hmm.
That freaking song where they're going around the pole.
Yeah.
That's an earworm.
And Christopher Lee is, I mean, Christopher Lee is always great, but in that movie, it's such a different kind of scary. Yeah,
Right.
it's really
Because
good.
he's very calm about it. He's very matter of fact. You know, he's not going, welcome.
Yeah.
It's, like, no, you're on my land now. And, we have plans for you kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was so good and so disturbing. Did you see, very much in that vein, Midsummer?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay, that's with what's her face, Black Widow, Pew.
Yeah.
It's got its moments. In the end, I wasn't as blown away as other people were. It's disturbing in the way that Wicker Man is because she's in this town and it's basically like backpackers walking into a weird cult kind of thing. And okay, it's long. I think that was the big problem. They could have squeezed this together a little more to have the pacing be better. And it's kind of confusing at one point, but it was good. I mean, I still remember scenes from it. It's one of those if you got the time and you're doing something else, you can have it on. But to sit there like this and watch it is gonna bug you.
Speaking of monster movies and horror and universal horror, have you seen this stuff coming out of Orlando from the new theme park?
No. I mean, you start talking about it and I'll let you know.
Orlando has built, or Universal has built their third theme park now in Orlando. It opens up next month.
Now, is it connected? Is it like walking distance?
No, it's nearby, but you have to take buses over there. But it's called Epic Universe, and it's comprised of like 5 different IPs. There's a whole Super Nintendo land. There's another Harry Potter land.
Okay.
There's a How to Train Your Dragon land with actual dragons flying over the park as drones.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. And then there's Dark Universe, which is basically Universal Classic Monsters.
Oh, come on.
The biggest ride in there is called Frankenstein Unchained. It's Colin Clive's great-granddaughter is now living in the mansion, building the monsters, and is sending them against Dracula.
Oh.
This ride has 18 full-size animatronic monsters.
Get out of here.
Frankenstein, Dracula, the Mummy, the Wolfman, Phantom of the Opera. If you go to YouTube right now, people are showing the pre-show. There's an 8-foot animatronic Frankenstein in the pre-show that looks absolutely stunning.
Come on. You know how broke I would be if I lived where you live?
Well, no, this is Florida, so this is going to cost me.
Florida. Well, still, it's, a day away from
I'm going because not only that, the one of the main restaurants has the flaming windmill from Frankenstein on top of it, catches fire every 20 minutes. There's another werewolf roller coaster that's apparently really good.
Yeah.
Like the Invisible Man is walking around. The Gill Man is walking around.
See,
they have like a makeup place where you can go get just turn to a monster, and it's Dr. Pretorius from Bride of Frankenstein.
Wow.
It's nothing but deep cuts from the classic monster movies. It looks absolutely unreal.
I see, and I would never want to leave. I mean, you always show me the Avengers area, and I've seen the thing with Spider-Man flipping and swinging, and I'm like, that alone, you got me. I love that so freaking much that I get chills, and I'm not even there. I'm watching it through your videos or your pictures and stuff. I'm like, son of a big.
Well, next week Disneyland is doing a Star Wars night where they close the park early. It's a separate ticket, and it's all Star Wars themed everywhere. So there's like an imperial parade of troopers throughout the park. There are like Jawas running around, and they do like a projection show on the rocks and mountains in the back of Star Wars Land. It's gonna be crazy.
What did you think of speaking of which, Skeleton Crew?
Um, I watched a couple of them, and it was okay. I guess it felt more not for me, really. I did.
Huh.
It felt a little bit more.
Goonies.
Yeah, exactly. And I've never been a Goonies kid, so I mean.
Oh, well then, yeah. This is very much, I watched it with my kids because my son and I always watch the Star Wars stuff. I mean, he's well educated in it. My daughter, I try to be, I would normally, because she was younger, so I didn't expect it to hold her interest. So I wouldn't subject her to things I didn't think she'd like. But when Skeleton Crew came out, I'm like, no, let's watch it. And she's watched some of Ahsoka. And we like all that stuff. So I said, okay, well, now that we're looking for a new show to watch together, because we finished up some of our other things, me and her, we started to rewatch, or at least for me, rewatch Rebels.
The Rebels is great.
Rebels is great because they're using the Star Wars music, and it's still remembering that it's Star Wars and not trying to be just adjacent to it. Like a lot of the things now are a little too far from center, and you have to really care to tie it back to Luke, Han, and Leia. Where this is, right from the beginning, you're using the da 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 da. I'm like, oh, yeah. So I never finished Rebels. I got towards like the last
stuff coming up.
I know. I got towards the last season, and then I don't know. We got, Mikey and I were watching it, but it was one of those where life kind of takes over and you don't get to go back. And well, now I can. And I've kind of jumped in to see, wait, something happens because if we're watching Ahsoka,
yes.
Oh, so that guy's dead, and that guy is that type of person now. So I got to get back into it. And I thought, let's watch it together because we enjoy it. We were watching Arcane. Did you know about Arcane? Arcane it's on Netflix.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful. The artwork it's like not water paint, but it looks painted. It's beautiful to watch. The action is amazing. I don't understand what's going on though. I mean, we're right to the last couple episodes of a 2-season series, and even though we enjoy watching it, I don't know what's. I never followed what was going on because apparently it's based on a video game, and the video game takes place over a long stretch of time, whereas they got canceled when they announced the second season. They said you have a season to wrap it up. So there's a lot of time jumps that happen, and it's kind of like a steampunk kind of world where it's futuristic, and yet you can see the gears turning in their weapons, which is beautiful and neat. But I have to just lay back and go, I don't know what's going on. Just tell me when you're fighting each other.
Yeah.
But that's just about done. That it's good. Again, it's one of those have it on when you're doing something else.
Right.
Whereas have you watched Blue Eye Samurai?
No.
Okay. If you like the Japanese pacing and the mythology and the slow, trekking through snow on your way to get revenge kind of stuff, that's the show for you. Again, beautifully. It looks like it's computer generated, but it's not. Like it's that smooth with the animation. And she's a girl who was a mixed race. She has blue eyes, so she's wearing shades all the time. And she's out for revenge. So everybody that sees her thinks she's a guy. And it's not for kids. But it's really, really good. I'm only 3 episodes in. But it's beautiful. It's really well done. And the fighting is excellent. But again, it's one of those, have it on when you're doing something else. It pays off. But so many shows I want to get into, but the pacing isn't great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I haven't been watching that much. I'm other than like YouTube stuff. I'm not really watching much much in the way of series these days. I've been reading like mad.
Yeah.
I've been on a vintage comics tear for the last few weeks and months, and I
Yeah.
fully restocked at WonderCon last week.
Oh, I saw
Yeah,
that you had some great pictures there too.
yeah. I found a
Those,
giant stack of Treasury editions.
yes. Look at that. Look at. Oh man, that is a classic.
This was great. And no, a couple years ago, I found a stack, and now the dealers have caught on that these are in demand. So everyone jacked up the prices on these treasure editions. But I found a nice stack that were pretty beat up because these are reader copies. I don't need minty ones.
Right.
And to me, that a beat up copy of these has more character. Look at
Sure.
that.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I love them. I mean, I would want to put that on the wall.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. And the Battlestar Galactica one is great.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Ernie Colon art on this thing, and you wouldn't. He's the guy that he was mostly known for doing Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Get out of here! Look at that.
Look at the Obions over here.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that was a find. I found another one of the Secret Origins ones.
Yep.
And the other big find was I've been looking for these like since I was 5. The DC Comics when I was a little kid had ad for a DC Comics fan magazine called Amazing World.
Okay.
I'd never even seen one.
Oh wow.
Look at that Dick Dillon cover.
Yeah, is that the one? Where they say move over superheroes?
That's the one. Yes.
Yeah.
And then this one with a Carbon Infantino cover.
Oh man, look at that.
Detective Chimp down there.
And put your banana down.
Yes. Yeah, those are two of the big finds for me at the show. I was really and then a giant stack of Superman and other DC stuff from the 70s and 80s, early like pre-crisis stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna refill my spinner rack.
Well, all right. To talk about the comics, I always have my standards that I'm always going to read: the Batmans, the Daredevils, obviously. And Batman is typically really, really good, right? Because if you mess him up, shame on you. There's no reason why you should not be writing at least a decent Batman story.
Yeah.
There was a run that just ended in Detective. That was Ram V was the writer. Did not care for it. Did not like it. And it was almost like I couldn't wait for it to end. It was such a long run where it didn't feel like he understood the character. I had the same problem with Tom King when he wrote Batman. It wasn't terrible, but he definitely had his agenda of his Catwoman Batman team up stuff.
Yeah.
And it felt too, how did I say it? Somebody was asking me online, why I felt the way that I do. And I said, no, I think he's a good writer, but he should write characters that are one-offs, like Adam Strange or the Human Target. Characters that aren't quite defined and locked into who they are. If they're loose like that, by all means, do it. They're great. I love his stuff. But if it's an established, and I haven't read his Wonder Woman yet. I have bought it, I just haven't gotten to it yet. If it's an established hero, it's too not accurate enough. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's like an agenda going with it that if you want to do, and I think DC kind of did this, gave him his own miniseries to let him do what he wanted that wasn't necessarily part of continuity. When they took him off Batman. But like he did that, what was that? Not Infinite Crisis. It was Identity Crisis. Wasn't that it?
No, it was the one.
What was the one? It was a crisis.
It was the one where they had the
therapy session.
Yeah, it was not for me.
And you know what it was? the idea was good. The pacing was interesting, but the characters were nothing like who people were outraged that Wally West was nothing like Wally West. Like, we know who Wally West is.
Yeah,
We
no,
know his Flash.
it didn't work at all.
No, unfortunately, and I really, really wish it did. But so the same thing with Ram V stuff. I they just they didn't have Batman be the focus per se, and when they did, it didn't sound like Batman.
Yeah.
You know, who's the writer who wrote the Bullets one?
Azarello?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Years ago, he wrote a Batman not mini series, but a story arc. And the first line was about how Batman hates Gotham, how it's like the rain is like God peeing on Gotham. And I went, nope. Yeah. No, you don't get the character. Batman loves Gotham. That's why he's here. Yeah. He's not like, I hate my life and I hate all you people and I hate.
Yeah.
You know, it always stuck with me too because typically
Batman, it was so off kilter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not to say that these people can't write. That's not what I'm saying.
But you're writing Rorschach. You're not writing Batman.
Right. Very good.
The only DC stuff I'm really digging right now is all the Waid stuff.
Love Waid. Love.
The Waid World's Finest stuff he's doing. And
yes.
The Batman and Robin, the new Justice League stuff I'm really enjoying. And then all the stuff that Jeremy Adams is doing. Jeremy Adams, he had a great run on Flash, and then they moved him over to Green Lantern, and now he's doing Aquaman.
Okay.
So check out, and Jeremy is very much an old school DC guy, and he's trying to. You can tell he's trying to work as much of that old kind of DC magic in there. So check out his stuff.
I'll tell you, I already bought the Flash. I haven't read it yet, but I went okay. Again, there's certain characters that besides Daredevil and Batman, there's certain characters that I'm always rooting for that if there's a sale, I'm going to get. And the Flash is one of them. Ever since Mark Waid.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's get all the Flash stuff. So
I thought Adams' run on Flash was the best since Waid.
Really?
Yeah. More
than Waid?
No, Waid to me is still top, but it was the best since Waid by far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got that, and once in a while I'll get like a horror series if it's by a writer I like. I love Tynan. I love his stuff. So, Nice House by the Lake. Have you read it?
No.
It's so good.
Good.
It's you have to enjoy each issue to issue because it still isn't wrapped up. It started as Nice House on the Lake, and then there was a break, and now it picks up as A Nice House by the Sea. And I've loved his writing since he was doing Detective Comics and made Batman have the Bat Family team with Tim Drake, because Tim Drake wasn't getting any love for a long time since Damian came around, and he was like, no. And I got to tell him that too when I was talking to him at Comic-Con. I said, I just want to tell you how much I love that you get that Batman should have a team book.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm trying. So far, they're letting me. And we talked about Tim Drake and how much we love him, and But so ever since then, I'll get his stuff, and that's a good one. That is, the art's beautiful. The art is like watercolor style, and the characters, he's got the Bendis kind of pacing with dialogue.
Okay.
Which I love. Like, let me feel like, oh, I understand the personality of that character. It's not just bullet moments that you need to say. It's no, give me the ums and the ahs in between, because it sets a pace. And then he did one that just wrapped up. Holy crap! It's about what the heck was the name of the book? It starts with a D, like despicable, but it's not despicable.
Hmm.
Give me 2 seconds. I will find it because it's going to drive me absolutely out of my mind. And I know people are yelling at the computer saying it. Let me see. Tynan. Okay, so I'm putting in his name into. Of course, it's not gonna show me what I want to see. Well, Nice House by the Sea, Department of Truth. I bought, but I haven't read yet. Deviant.
Okay.
Deviant. Yeah. It's it took forever for this last issue to come out, and it's about a guy who it's supposed to, I think, be kind of semi-autobiography. A guy who wants to write a comic book about a serial killer, and the guy who's in jail is falsely imprisoned, but has been there since the 70s. And he was gay, so that kind of prejudice kind of put him into prison. And the writer is gay too, so he kind of feels like a connection to him and that kind of thing. And thank you. I got another drink because I finished my coffee.
Yeah.
And so anyway, the 70s serial killer has now popped up again, and it's a Christmas themed. So it's got the mask, but it's also got the Santa outfit on, and it's Deviant is the right name for this. And I just finally they came out with the last issue. I don't know what the delay was, but it had been going for the past 2 years, I want to say, even though it's like only 9 or 8 issues.
Okay.
That paid off. So
Check it out.
yeah, I mean it's good. But then, have you read any of the Ghost? What is it called? Not Ghost Maker, Ghost Machine series that are out. Okay. Jeff Johns has started his own line of books. They're great. They're so good. There's one that's like G.I. Robot that is Junkyard Joe. Vietnam starts in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
There's Geiger, which was the miniseries that was great. Now that's back as an ongoing. There is the Red Coat, which is about a red coat from the the Revolutionary War, who becomes immortal unwittingly, and it's showing him through time. He's kind of like a scoundrel. I think that's even how they describe him, and it's showing him like meet up with a young Einstein. It turns out the only other person who's an immortal that he knows of is Benedict Arnold.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Let's see. There's that. There's one called Rogue Exodus. That's kind of like the world. All the people who thought the world was going to crap had taken ships, gone to this world that a corporation said, "We got you covered." And after 20 years, it kind of fell apart. Like they ran out of what they thought they were going to have. So those people either, I don't know, we don't know quite what happened, if they moved back to Earth or went to another planet. Rogue Exodus is about the wardens who wear a particular animal helmet and can control that animal around them, and they're kind of left behind by the corporation. Surprisingly great. I thought it would be a little too out there for me, but it's really, really good. Yeah. And then there's another one too that I can't think of. Oh, the it's kind of like the Twilight Zone. What's it called? Something Street. What the heck was it? Basically, they're like one shot, like Ice Cream Man, one and done stories. You know, these bad people wandered down the wrong street, and now they're going to be a victim of their own.
Like a horror anthology type thing. Cool.
Yeah. Hyde Street. That's the name of it.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, these have been so darn good that I've been telling the kids, look, I know you don't read comics like I wish you'd read comics. I'm always like, you got time on your hands. It's on the tablet. Get reading. Yeah. I will. Well, they haven't yet. But these have reinvigorated my love of like independent stuff.
Cool.
Right?
Have you picked up? Or have you seen the team up books that J.M. Straczynski's been doing for Marvel? They're all one offs, and they're just bizarre team ups. There's one that's Doctor Doom and Rocket Raccoon.
Okay, I have not yet. I figured I would wait.
That one is awesome. It's hilarious. And then there's a Sergeant Fury and Fin Fang Foom. And that one's great.
I skimmed a couple pages of that. I'm like, wow, this seems really good.
Yeah, and that's got art by my friend Evelyn Casagrande, and she just kills it on
it. Yeah, I noticed the art was really good.
Yeah.
What I was going to say about those titles I just told you about, they're all connected. They're all part of the same universe.
Oh, cool.
So, like Junkyard Joe, which takes place in the 70s up to present day, Geiger is in a possible future. 20 some years or more in the future. Junkyard Joe shows up in it.
That's cool.
It's so good. I know. I'm like, I don't know where this is going, but I'm loving it. And Gary Frank is the artist.
Yeah, Frank's great.
And Hitch is the one on, it's either Rogue Exodus or, no, it might be Redcoat. One of them.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's Redcoat.
Well, you know what's been getting just most of my money lately? Have you seen these new DC Finest collections?
Tell me.
DC is putting out it's called the overarching name is DC Finest, and it's just selected books and runs from their entire history, and it's not chronological, and just kind of like whatever is a good thing that hasn't been represented well in print before, and they just knock out 2 or 3 a month.
Oh,
all the original Peacemaker stories from Charlton, and then all of the DC uses of the character from Suicide Squad, from what's the other one on here? From Vigilante, from Showcase, all one book.
Wow!
And if you look at the back here, this is the kind of detail I love. This little line here shows every year of DC publishing comics, what year this particular book was from, or what period.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all over the map. There's this one, and then last month, this team up one, and this is Superman DC Presents and Batman Brave and the Bold, just from 78 and 79.
Wow!
And it's alternate. And these DC Presents ones, it's a great series because this is one of the few times whenever Jose Luis Garcia Lopez was doing regular monthly art on Superman.
How do you not love his art?
And then at the same time, you've got just issue after issue in here of Jim Aparo, Batman, Brave and the Bold stuff, which is just my favorite stuff.
Jim Aparo was my first favorite Batman artist.
Yeah.
Like when I was, late 80s, officially getting comic books on a weekly basis, he was the Batman artist.
Yeah.
Him and Breyfogle, who I miss dearly.
Yeah. But then you get even they go deep cuts. Classic 40s Justice Society.
Yeah.
And this has never been in a soft cover before.
Wow. Yeah, you know what? Because I got a Brave and Bold Batman in the black and white when they were only like $3 for a whole big,
Oh, yeah, those showcase editions. Yeah.
Yeah. I have one upstairs because I thought, you know what? I'm going to get it and let my son read them when he was, really, really little. Because if God forbid anything happened to it, well, another $3, I could go buy another version of it.
Yeah, it's super cheap, almost newsprint. It's like a phone book, really.
I was going to say, or a coloring book.
Yeah.
Because I remember Dave at the local comic book store saying, they're great for coloring if you want to have a kid color through them.
Yeah.
And I understand that, but the other part of me goes, no, keep your filthy crayons away from this. And I have a Daredevil one like that too. Because then they started doing it. You know, speaking of which, do you see Marvel's doing kind of the same thing where they're reprinting, Born Again,
yes,
as Prestige, whatever, and they have Charlie Cox writing the intro.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's neat. It's unnecessary for me.
Right, but it's good that it's out there.
Exactly. It makes me proud. It's one of those, the world is catching on how good Daredevil is.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We're going to end it there for now. But come back next time for part 2.
The Never Gets Old podcast is part of the Forever Adventure Network and made possible by your donations through Patreon. If you'd like to help us out, please go to the Forever Adventure Network by Mac Jackson on Patreon and help by subscribing, rating, and reviewing wherever podcasts are heard. We also have a Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channel. The show's music is by Harmony Constant and available wherever music is sold. Thanks for listening, everybody. And remember, stay excited.
The Forever Adventure Network.
Welcome to the adventure.